Lilith has recently announced the brand new archer commanders that are coming to Rise of Kingdoms. One of them is absolutely busted. Let's break down why. Hey everyone, it's Akina back with another Rise of Kingdoms video. Apologies it's been so long since the last video, but today I'm super excited to be able to cover the brand new archer commander Qin Shi Huang. Now I hope I pronounced that correctly. Abbreviating his name, I think it'll be easy to just call him Qin. Not Qin, Qin, because I think that's how it's pronounced when you're pronouncing it properly. So this is the brand new archer commander. He is archer, versatility and skill. But before we dive in, if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing, do like the video, share it around for people that aren't fully understanding how this commander works, and if I missed anything, please just let me know in the comments, because it's a very confusing commander. We're going to break him down as simply as possible so that hopefully everyone understands his kit and how each skill works with one another in order to make him a field monster. So let's dive straight in and go to his skill number 1. So this is his active skill. 1 conquers 6. And this is foreshadowing his skill itself. First thing to note, it says target type single. Now, don't read too much into that. Don't just read it and be like, oh, single target commander, not worth my time. He definitely is. The first thing you need to look at is rage consumed 1000. What does it say for every other commander when you look at their rage requirement? Well, let's take a look. Take Arthur, for example. Rage requirement 1000. Take a look at BQ. Rage requirement 1000. Huo, rage requirement 1000. So what we are noticing from this first part of his first active skill is that it's rage consumed 1000. He has to consume 1000 rage in order to proc his active skill. This is very, very easy to miss, but a key part of how this commander works. Then we'll break it down. This commander's troop gains the Eternal Emperor effect. This Emperor effect is vital to how good Qin is on the field. Whenever their troop deals direct damage with a basic attack via the Iron Pierce Bronze skill, he also deals 60% of that damage to up to 5 other nearby troops, and that gets reduced by 15% for each target. 5 other troops. That means his target plus 5, meaning this commander is dealing 6 bits of damage to different troops. His AoE is hitting 6 targets, the first commander in the game to hit 6 targets. And the reason why, I mean, just look at it on the right hand side. 6 states bow to 1 emperor, 1 conquers 6. It's basically referring to his history as a commander and what he was able to achieve in the past. But that's a phenomenal skill, but it doesn't really give us enough information, and it relies heavily on the second skill, which is Iron Pierce's Bronze. Whenever this commander's troop launches a basic attack, it spends 100 rage, and he has to have the rage in order to use it, which means he cannot go below 0 rage. This is a completely new way of commanders working, to consume rage rather than building up and then using it as a requirement for a skill. When he gets 100 rage or has enough, he will consume that and he will convert a basic attack, so just your standard white damage attack, into direct damage. So what's the point? Why does it matter he's doing this? Well, that now becomes skill damage. It becomes a red number on the commander rather than a white number, and that's to 100% of the troop's basic attack damage factor, and that is usually going to be 200. So that's 200 damage factor that this guy is dealing. That doesn't sound like a lot. I get it. It's not a lot. That's just the first part of his skill. So when he puts this skill out and he deals that 200 skill damage factor, That then triggers the active skill, which is his AoE, which would then hit every target. So that would then hit 6 targets from those two working together. But that's just a part of his kit. Let's keep going. His stats: 20% march speed, amazing. 30% defense, great. 20% health, great when it only has full archers. So this commander is super tanky. Like, those are great defensive stats. No attack, but huge defense and health. Now, moving on. Not the rally one. Third skill. Now, we're going to skip the third skill for now, because we want the fourth skill. So, the fourth skill is Valor beats Despair. If this commander is attacking a field troop, if they are the primary commander, their troop gains 500 rage when they enter combat. So this is giving you a few prerequisites that you have to fulfill. So firstly, has to attack a field troop. That means it cannot be a rallied, non-rallied, that has to be non-rallied, non-garrison troops. So purely for field. They have to be primary. 2 things that have to be fulfilled. And then every time Qin enters combat, he gains 500 rage. And we can almost consider the rage to be like ammunition, because he consumes 100 every basic attack. When he enters combat, it gives him that head start, like ammo loaded into a gun. It gives him that 500 rage, and every turn he'll consume 100 of it in order to turn his basic attack into a skill damage direct damage attack, which will then get converted into AoE. And that's a big part of his kit. Moving on, the troop takes 10% less normal damage, which is great, which means he's taking less damage from all normal damage sources. That's smite, that's your basic attacks, and that's your combo attacks as well. So Arthur and all of the infantry commanders that are smite. Whenever the troop takes direct damage, smite damage, or combo damage greater than 300 damage factor, so 300 is tiny, so the majority of skill damage, smite damage, combo damage that's hitting Qin has the opportunity to consume 40 rage for each instance of damage and reduce it by 40%. That's huge. You pair that with the health that he's already got, which is 20. Is it 20 or 25? Let me double check. So 20. And then you pair it with the 35 or 30% damage, 30% defense. So that plus the 40% damage reduction, Qin is going to be a beast on the field. And note that this can trigger up to 6 times per second. So if you are caught out of position and you are hit by 6 different instances of skill damage, maybe a murder ball is focusing on your march, you can reduce every instance of that damage by 40%. And each enemy troop can only trigger this effect once per second. So let's say Arthur is hitting his combo attacks, Qin can negate or reduce the impact of one of them by 40%, but only one, because he can only do it once per enemy troop per second. If Arthur was to proc an instant proc bit of damage next second, he could also reduce the damage of that, but if it's in the same turn, he can only do it once. Okay, let's continue. So this is his technical, we can say, third skill. It's his fourth, but we're going to call it his third because his other third is enhanced by the expertise. So we're going to look now at his official third skill, which is Thunder Shakes Earth. If this commander's troop is on the field and has been outside of your city for at least 10 seconds, so similar to Huo and his mechanic, has to be outside the city for 10 seconds, it gains the Eternal Emperor effect. So again, the Emperor effect returns, and this lasts for 8 seconds. But it can only trigger once every 60 seconds. And note there is no refresh on this. Like Huo, whenever he kills a target, he can refresh with Autumn Wind. This commander doesn't. And a big part of his kit is to be able to have that Eternal Empire or Emperor skill active as often as possible. Whenever their troop deals direct damage with Iron Pierce's Bronze or with the Emperor effect, it can spend 20 rage to deal extra damage to all the targets and drain 10 rage from them, and the damage factor would be 200 damage. Now this is huge, and the drain effect is something we've only seen in one other commander. For those that will recall, the only other commander that we've seen the drain effect from is Ragnar Prime. I think it's his third skill. Whenever it launches or is hit with a basic attack, there's a 30% chance to drain the enemy's attack and march speed. So if we go to drain, for the duration of this effect, reduces what the enemy has and gains it for yourself. Now going back to Qin. With Qin, he has the ability to drain 10 rage from them. But it's not exactly 10 rage. We're going to now jump to the expertise skill because this enhances the third skill and it gives us a true reflection of the commander's skills. So seal governs all. So similarly, when you've been on the field for 10 seconds, you gain the Eternal Emperor effect, and this is for 10 seconds now, not 8, so it lasts for longer. Same cooldown every 60 seconds. Whenever their troop deals direct damage, instead you can spend 25 rage, not 20, so 5 more, but you can drain 5 more for each target that you hit. You're draining 15 rage per target. Now again, these numbers are not that great, so in isolation it doesn't sound that crazy, and when you look at the damage factor to each target, it's only 250. So it's really difficult to get your head truly around what this commander is able to do. So what we need to do is take a look at his kit as a whole and really figure out, where does this commander shine? What is his kit pointing towards? Okay, there's a lot here, I completely get it, but we're going to break it down to make it as simple as possible to understand. What we're going to focus on is the bottom part, so the bit that says, how does this look on the field? How does all of his skills work together? Qin has to be primary commander and outside the city for 10 seconds. Once he has fulfilled that, as soon as he starts attacking a target, he will gain 500 rage. He will also gain the Emperor effect from his expertise skill, which lasts for 10 seconds. So he's got the ammunition, the 500 rage, and he's got the Emperor effect, the main thing he needs in order to cast his AoE skill. Every time Qin uses a basic attack, this will now consume 100 rage, and if we're ignoring all the other instances of rage that you can gain or even potentially use for reducing damage, this is going to consume 100 rage, so enough technically for 5 turns. This becomes direct damage, so your 200 damage factor, as we spoke about earlier, which is your basic attack converted into skill damage, when you hit that skill, this procs the active skill, which is the Emperor's ability. Now, the Emperor's ability makes this skill AoE. So suddenly, instead of dealing just 200 damage to a target, you're dealing 200 damage, of course reduced per target hit, to 5 other targets. So you are hitting AoE to 6 targets on the field. After you've hit that AoE damage, the expertise will then proc in like a chain of events, because the expertise procs whenever damage is dealt either with the Emperor effect or with the skill Iron Pierce's Bronze, which is the second skill. Then what happens here? Qin will consume 25 rage. He will then deal another instance of AoE damage to all the commanders that he previously dealt AoE damage to, so another 6 commanders, or 6 troops on the field. And this is 250 damage factor, which gets reduced after you've hit 2 targets in the same second. But that averages out to be approximately 1370 damage per turn. Now, to put this into perspective, that may not seem like a lot, but when you're doing this every single turn, take Zhu Liang for example. With his AoE nuke hitting 5 targets, he's dealing about half of this in an average skill cycle, which is about 7 to 8 turns, depending on your rage gain. So Qin is dealing double the total damage that Zhu Liang is able to deal. That just shows how powerful this commander is. He is then draining 15 rage from each of the commanders that gets hit. So if he's hitting 6 commanders, he's draining 90 rage per turn from each commander. Then when you throw in your other rage gain and your base rage gain anyway, you're almost hitting the cap every single turn. And when you're hitting the cap that frequently, you're going to be proccing your skill, or consuming enough rage, we can say, around every 4 turns. After consuming 1000 rage, you then get the Emperor's ability back again for another 10 seconds. And then it just continues. You're doing the same thing over and over again. And as Sack from 1606 has also worded it, this has suddenly become infinite AoE. It is ridiculous amounts of damage that this guy is able to deal, and he's just doing it constantly. It might not be a huge nuke, but when you're dealing that much damage every single second, he's by far the highest damaging commander in Rock on the field. Not to even mention his ability to reduce damage by 40% when he's consuming rage. Now that will slow down his general skill cycles, but as long as he has that Emperor ability up, and this guy's able to get in his rhythm and to continue hitting marches, yeah, he's going to be a monster on the field. So who can Qin pair with? Who would be a great person, a great commander to enhance Qin and the damage he is dealing? Well, for me there are 3 commanders that come to mind, and there are probably more, but remember these commanders have just come out, haven't fully analysed every single commander in the game to figure out who would be the most optimal pairing. But the ones that come to mind, if I just take this off the screen now, so the first one would be Zhu Liang. Zhu is dealing 2000 damage factor, but the main reason why he synergizes so well is his expertise skill. Upon entering combat, this commander gains the Marquis effect, but whenever they deal skill damage with the burning of Jinye or the Marquis skill, their troops gain 30 rage. So it's providing a rage engine for Qin to keep going, to keep proccing his active more frequently, keep the Emperor effect active, and just release countless direct damage. Not to mention that Zhu Liang also boosts skill damage by 20% and increases Archer's stats. The second pairing that I would recommend, and I haven't expertised him on this account, but it's Philip. So why Philip? Firstly, with the ability to double proc his active skill, that's having consistent 10% less damage, active almost 50% of the time, and then an extra 20% more damage on top. So that 20% is permanently boosting Qin's skills, and then 10% less damage paired with the 40% damage reduction that he's able to do makes him incredibly tanky. Add in the fact that Philip gives 35% health and an extra 20% march speed, so the commander can move quickly. It will have 55% health, which is ridiculous amounts. If the troop contains only one unit type, it deals 30% more damage. Now, 30% more damage plus the damage bonus from the active, and you're thinking Qin is gaining this so frequently while being incredibly tanky, incredibly mobile. I honestly think he could be the best pairing for Qin. Not to mention this skill, which is obviously Philip's AoE skill. And then finally, the surprise pairing that Qin could potentially excel with is YSG. Now, I know some of you are thinking, no way. Is this guy going to have the same effect that Liu had to Alex and that Arthur had to William? YSG is dealing that circle AoE damage. Yeah, it's nice. But then we look here. The chance to gain extra rage, so it's a slight rage engine. I know there's only 10% chance, but there's also the 100% attack with a 10% chance, but it's not even that. 50% skill damage. Now remember that Qin only deals skill damage. All of his attacks get converted to skill damage. So then this just becomes an all damage buff for Qin. And not to mention, if we go to the museum and we look at YSG, and he's got a 20% extra archer defense and 12% extra skill damage. 62% roughly skill damage extra for Qin. That should say more than enough as to why this commander is absolutely incredible. We've had some incredible commanders come out lately. Arthur changed the game for Cav. BQ elevated infantry to the next level. But this guy, Qin Shi Huang, in my opinion, is better than all of them. He has become, or will become, if everything we've spoken about is correct, the best field commander in the game. Now that is not a light statement. Maybe we're overestimating him. We need to test, of course. But at least for now, from the theoretical side of things, this guy's crazy. But I hope that helped to break down what Qin is able to do on the field. I know his kit is incredibly confusing. I do hope that what I've said is accurate. I'm pretty confident in it, but do let me know if there's something that didn't sound quite right. But you can also check for yourselves when relating to the skill. I will have the graphic that I put up before that broke down his skills on my Discord. I'll put the Discord link into the video description, so make sure you join that, check it out, join the community that's growing, and yeah, we can discuss more about this this badass commander that's going to be taking over Rise of Kingdoms very shortly. He might even make it in time for the 1606 Kingsland, which is in a couple of weeks. We'll do another one of these videos on the upcoming Archer Rally commander. He's a bit more simple to understand. Hopefully in the next couple of days I'll get that video out. If you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing if you enjoyed the content. Smash the like button and join the Discord. Appreciate all of you being here. It's an exciting time for Rise of Kingdoms. Archers are back. Much love. Thank you all. Catch you all in the next video.